Let's start by talking about why business rejection feels like someone just punched you in the gut. There's actual science behind this, and understanding it is the first step to taking away its power over you. Researchers at the University of Michigan discovered that social rejection activates the same parts of your brain that process physical pain. Your brain literally treats a business rejection the same way it treats stubbing your toe or burning your hand. This isn't weakness, this is biology. When someone says no to your pitch, when a client leaves, when an investor passes on your idea, your brain's alarm system goes off because for thousands of years, rejection from the group meant potential death. Our ancestors needed the tribe to survive, so our brains evolved to treat rejection as a serious threat. The problem is your brain can't tell the difference between being rejected by your prehistoric tribe and being rejected by a potential business partner. It triggers the same fear response, floods your system with stress hormones, and makes you want to either fight, flee, or freeze. Now here's where it gets interesting. Business rejection also threatens something psychologists call our self-concept. When you're an entrepreneur, your business isn't just what you do, it becomes part of who you are. You tell people, I'm a founder, or I run a marketing agency, or I created this product. Your identity gets intertwined with your venture. So when your business gets rejected, it feels like you personally got rejected. When your idea gets criticized, it feels like you're being criticized. But here's the truth you need to internalize right now. They're not rejecting you. They're making a decision based on their needs, their timing, their resources, their priorities, and about 100 other factors that have nothing to do with your worth as a person. Business setbacks come in many flavors, and recognizing which type you're dealing with helps you respond appropriately. The first type is the deal rejection. This is when you pitch a client, an investor, or a partner, and they say no. You prepared, you presented, you poured your heart into showing them why this would work, and they passed. This one stings because you put yourself out there directly. The second type is the market rejection. This happens when you launch a product or service that you truly believe in, but customers simply don't buy it. You've built it, but they haven't come. This cuts deep because you invested time, money, and creativity into something the market is telling you it doesn't want. The third type is the people setback. A co-founder quits, a key employee leaves, a mentor or advisor withdraws their support. These hurt on a personal level because relationships are involved, and often there's no clear closure or explanation. The fourth type is the operational failure. Your systems break down, your product has major flaws, your service delivery fails, or your processes collapse. These feel embarrassing because they expose gaps in your execution. The fifth type is the financial setback. You run out of money, you lose a major revenue stream, your costs spiral out of control, or an economic downturn decimates your industry. These create immediate stress because survival feels threatened. Understanding which type of setback you're facing matters because each requires a slightly different recovery approach. But here's what they all have in common. None of them are permanent unless you decide to stop. Every single successful business you admire has experienced multiple types of setbacks, often simultaneously, and they're still here because they learned what I'm about to teach you. Everything changes when you shift from asking, why is this happening to me, to asking, what is this teaching me? This isn't about toxic positivity or pretending everything is fine when it's not. This is about taking back control of the narrative in your own head. Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck spent decades researching what she calls fixed versus growth mindsets, and her findings are game-changing for entrepreneurs. People with a fixed mindset believe their abilities are static. When they face rejection, they interpret it as evidence that they're not smart enough, not talented enough, not meant for this. It becomes about their identity. People with a growth mindset believe abilities can be developed. When they face rejection, they interpret it as feedback about their current approach, not their potential. It becomes about their strategy. Here's a practical example. You pitch 10 investors and all 10 say no. Fixed mindset response, I'm not good at pitching. Investors don't believe in me. I'm not cut out for fundraising. Growth mindset response, my pitch needs work. I need to find investors who understand this space better. I need to improve my financial projections or my narrative. See the difference? One closes doors, the other opens them. But here's the reframe that changed everything for me. I started viewing every rejection as a redirection. Every time someone said no, I asked myself, What if this is actually protecting me from something that wasn't right and pointing me towards something better? And you know what happened? I started noticing patterns. The clients who said no would have been difficult to work with. The investor who passed had a portfolio full of failed companies. The partnership that fell through would have tied me to someone with different values. Rejection wasn't failure, it was filtering. Here's the first practical strategy, and it might surprise you. Give yourself permission to feel terrible for exactly 24 hours. I'm serious. When something goes wrong, when you get that rejection email, when you lose that deal, I want you to acknowledge that it hurts. Don't try to immediately be positive. Don't force yourself to look on the bright side. Don't let anyone tell you to just get over it. Feel the disappointment. Feel the frustration. Feel the anger if that's what comes up. Call a friend and vent. Write in your journal about how unfair it feels. Go for a run and let yourself be mad. Eat the comfort food. Watch the show. Take the evening off. Cry if you need to. This isn't weakness, this is emotional intelligence. When you try to suppress difficult emotions, they don't go away. They just burrow deeper and come out sideways later as anxiety, burnout, or poor decision-making. Neuroscience research shows that naming and acknowledging emotions actually reduces their intensity. The act of saying, I feel disappointed or I feel rejected, calms the amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for emotional reactions. But here's the key, you get 24 hours, not 24 days. Set a timer if you need to. Tell yourself, I'm going to feel this fully until tomorrow at 3 p.m., and then I'm choosing action. Because here's what I learned. Wallowing feels like you're processing, but after a certain point, you're just rehearsing the pain. You're replaying the rejection over and over, strengthening those neural pathways, making the story more solid in your mind. After 24 hours, the story needs to change from this happened to me to this happened, and here's what I'm going to do about it. The most successful entrepreneurs I know aren't the ones who don't feel rejection. They're the ones who feel it fully and then move forward anyway. Once your 24 hours are up, it's time to turn that rejection into education. Every setback contains valuable information if you're willing to look for it. And this is where most entrepreneurs miss the opportunity. They either ignore the feedback completely because it's too painful, or they take it so personally that they can't see it objectively. Here's your action plan. First, if possible, ask for specific feedback. This is hard, I know. Your ego is bruised, and the last thing you want to do is reach out to the person who just rejected you. But here's how you do it. Wait a few days, then send a brief professional message. Thank you for considering my proposal. I'm always looking to improve. Would you be willing to share any specific feedback about what didn't resonate or what I could strengthen for future opportunities? Keep it short, keep it humble, keep it focused on learning. You'll be surprised how many people are willing to share honest feedback when you ask this way. Most people don't ask, so when you do, you stand out. Second, conduct your own honest post-mortem. Get out a notebook and write down everything about the situation. What was your approach? What assumptions did you make? What signals did you miss? Where were the weak points in your pitch, your product, or your execution? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about being a scientist studying an experiment. What variables can you control? What would you test differently next time? Third, look for patterns. If this is your first rejection, treat it as a single data point. But if you're facing repeated rejections in the same area, that's your market sending you a message. Maybe your pricing is off. Maybe your positioning is unclear. Maybe you're targeting the wrong audience. Maybe your timing is wrong. Patterns are gifts because they tell you exactly where to focus your improvement efforts. Here's a truth that will save you countless sleepless nights. You should never be in a position where one rejection can destroy you. If losing one client tanks your business, if one investor saying no ends your dreams, if one deal falling through means you can't make payroll, you've built a fragile system, and it's time to change that. Think of your business like an investment portfolio. Financial advisors tell you to diversify because if you put everything in one stock and it crashes, you lose everything. But if you spread your investments across different assets, one failure doesn't wipe you out. The same principle applies to business opportunities. Here's how to implement this. First, always have a pipeline of opportunities, not just one big bet. If you're pitching clients, you should have multiple conversations happening simultaneously. If you're seeking investors, you should be talking to 20 or 30, not just 2 or 3. If you're launching products, consider testing multiple variations or having several revenue streams. This doesn't mean spreading yourself thin or being unfocused. It means not putting all your emotional and financial eggs in one basket. Second, build redundancy into your business model. If 80% of your revenue comes from one client, that's not a business, that's a dependency. Work systematically to diversify your client base. If your entire marketing strategy relies on one platform, you're vulnerable. Develop multiple channels. Third, create what I call rejection buffers. Keep enough cash reserves that one lost deal doesn't create a crisis. Maintain relationships even when you don't need them immediately. Build your skills broadly so you have options. The entrepreneurs who bounce back fastest from setbacks are the ones who have alternatives already in motion. When one door closes, they're not devastated because they have 3 other doors they're already walking through. This approach does something else important. It changes your energy in meetings and pitches. When you need this one deal desperately, people can smell it, and it makes you less attractive. When you have options, you show up confident, and confidence attracts opportunity. You cannot do this alone, and trying to will make every setback feel 10 times worse. One of the biggest mistakes I made early in my entrepreneurial journey was isolating myself when things went wrong. I felt ashamed, like admitting I was struggling meant I was failing. So I put on a brave face on social media, told everyone things were great, and suffered in private. That almost broke me. Here's what I learned. Resilience isn't a solo sport. The entrepreneurs who survive and thrive are the ones who build what I call a resilience network, a group of people who've been there, who understand, and who can pull you back up when you're down. Your resilience network has 3 layers. First, you need peers who are in the trenches with you. These are other entrepreneurs at roughly your stage who understand the daily reality of what you're facing. Join a mastermind group, participate in entrepreneur communities, find your people. When you get rejected, these are the folks who say, "Been there, here's what I did," rather than giving you generic advice. They normalize the struggle, and that's incredibly powerful. Second, you need mentors who've made it through to the other side. These are people who've built successful businesses, who've faced bigger setbacks than yours and survived, who can give you perspective when you're too close to see it. A good mentor will tell you the truth, not just what you want to hear. They'll share their own failure stories and show you that where you are now is part of the path, not the end of it. Third, you need your personal support system. These are the friends and family who might not understand business, but who love you unconditionally. They remind you that you're more than your business, that your worth isn't tied to your revenue, that you're valued as a person regardless of outcomes. Here's how to activate your resilience network. Share your struggles, not just your wins. Be vulnerable about what's hard. Ask for what you need, whether that's advice, connections, encouragement, or just someone to listen. Here's the most important strategy of all, and it's the one that separates entrepreneurs who eventually succeed from those who give up. After every setback, take one immediate action forward. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready, today, right now. There's something powerful that happens in your brain when you take action after a setback. You break the cycle of helplessness and reclaim your sense of agency. You prove to yourself that yes, something went wrong, but you're still in control of what happens next. The action doesn't have to be big. In fact, sometimes the smaller and more concrete it is, the better. You just lost a major client? Send one email to a prospect today. Your product launch flopped? Make one improvement to it right now. An investor passed? Research and reach out to one new potential investor. Your pitch got rejected? Rewrite the opening paragraph before you close your laptop. The specific action matters less than the fact that you're taking it. Here's why this works. Momentum is everything in entrepreneurship. When you're moving forward, even slowly, you feel capable. When you're stuck, replaying the rejection, you feel powerless. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence, and confidence leads to better decisions and better opportunities. But there's a deeper reason this matters. Every action you take is a vote for the future you're trying to create. When you take action after rejection, you're telling yourself and the universe that this setback doesn't define your trajectory. You're saying this isn't over. And here's what I've discovered after years of facing rejection: the universe responds to that energy. Opportunities show up for people who are in motion. So here's your assignment. Before this video ends, I want you to identify one concrete action you'll take today. Write it down. Put it in your calendar. Tell someone you're going to do it. Make it specific and achievable, and then do it. So let's bring this all together, because I want you to walk away from this video with absolute clarity about what to do next. We've covered a lot of ground in the last 15 minutes, so here's your quick recap. Understand that rejection triggers your brain's pain centers and threatens your identity, but it's not actually about your worth. Recognize what type of setback you're facing so you can respond appropriately. Reframe rejection from failure to feedback, from why me to what now, from ending to redirection. Give yourself 24 hours to feel it fully, then choose forward movement. Extract every lesson by asking for feedback, conducting your own analysis, and looking for patterns. Diversify your opportunities so no single rejection can take you out. Build your resilience network with peers, mentors, and personal support. Take immediate action today to reclaim your momentum and prove to yourself that you're still in the game. But now I want to leave you with the one question that changed everything for me, the question I promised at the beginning. Here it is. Will this rejection matter in 5 years? When you're in the moment, every no feels catastrophic. But I want you to think back 5 years from today. Think about the rejections you faced back then. Can you even remember most of them? And the ones you do remember, aren't you actually grateful for some of them now? That client who would have been a nightmare. That business partner whose values didn't align with yours. That investor who would have taken too much control. Time has a way of revealing that many of our rejections were actually protections. So when you face your next setback, and you will, because that's part of being in business, ask yourself that question. 5 years from now, will this matter? And if the answer is no, then give it only the energy it deserves, learn what you can, and move on. And if the answer is yes, if this actually is a significant setback, then you know it's important enough to fight for, to iterate on, to try again from a different angle. Either way, the question gives you perspective. Your rejection isn't the end of your story, it's just plot development. Every great business success story includes chapters of failure and rejection. The only difference between the entrepreneurs who made it and the ones who didn't is that the successful ones kept going. They felt the pain, they learned the lessons, they adjusted their approach, and they took the next step. You can do the same. So here's what I want you to do right now. First, drop a comment below telling me one action you're going to take today to move forward from whatever setback you're facing. I read every comment and I'll be cheering you on. Second, if this video helped you, if it gave you even one insight that shifted your perspective, share it with another entrepreneur who needs to hear this message. We rise by lifting others, and your share might reach someone at exactly the moment they're ready to give up. Third, subscribe to this channel and click the bell, because I share strategies like these every week to help you build a business that lasts. And finally, remember this: you're not alone in facing rejection. Every entrepreneur you admire has been exactly where you are right now. The difference is they decided that temporary setbacks wouldn't define their permanent outcome. You can make that same decision today. Thank you for spending these 15 minutes with me. Now go take that action you wrote down. Your comeback story starts right now.